A performance that tells the story about a meeting, love, war, loneliness and death. But to give birth to life again, he, the silent and invisible, exists. He feels the emptiness of the world and moves by the fate of human beings. Wind and man are the main actors of today's program ProART. The wind is a symbol of change. One needs to build a world. It gives certain inspiration, but it's cool, it's very interesting. But the wind, life exists, and the wind begins to blow. One of the most extraordinary Ukrainian theater projects is the Kinetic performance But the Wind by stage director Vlad Troitskiy. It begins and lasts like life in a fable. According to critics, it's a very unusual and special spectacle. It's closer to a visual or kinematic theater, and I wanted to make a performance without words, but at the same time tell a very clear and touching story, with love, hope, jealousy, war, and hope. Although it lasts only 45 minutes, a person can experience the whole life, its story and history of their native country. To think of yourself, of your children, of your family. The premiere took place in Google Fest 2016. Since then, the audience was happy to see this show several times. Nevertheless, But the Wind became the headliner of such Ukrainian festivals as Porto Franco and Golden Lion. First of all, it's beautiful, so even if you do not understand anything, you can meditate throughout these 50 minutes and you will be happy. In principle, it's another format. This show can be called an installation. It is self-sufficient, even if nothing happens. The fans will simply spin and polyethylene will wrestle. One can watch this performance almost endlessly. Stage director Vlad Troitskiy has his extraordinary style. He's constantly looking for new theatrical solutions. Actors, musicians, all wholeheartedly trusting director's magnetism join this unique experiment. And the interest of the public in this performance sparks every time. I cannot say that this performance is customary for me, therefore from a professional point of view, acting in it is a rather unusual task. Regarding to what degree it is avant-garde art, I must agree. I do not know similar performances. In essence, there are no comparable performances in Kiev, in Ukraine. Of course, the personality of Vlad Troitskiy inspires trust, so I did not think what would be further. I just delved deep into it with my head. I still do not know what it is, every time it's different. Well, I understand what I do on the stage, but I do not always understand the whole picture, because I can only feel it from the inside. Vlad asked us to be conscious and to catch the moment, to feel each other, to feel the wind, to feel the space. A stage director considers everyday problems in view of images and theatrical conditions, but preparation for the performance is always cautious and concrete. Movements, sounds, and even airstreams are mastered. After all, the wind in the performance is a kind of moderator of situation. It gives us direction, it sets our character in moods. That is its essence, Piniaeva explains. In fact, the wind is like the director of our performance. I mean that it is an informal director. And it is very important to provide the right wind. That is, if to turn on the required fans, the scene will be successful. If something goes wrong, we can lose the meaning. Therefore, we always set everything up for a long time, inspect the polyethylene to avoid it from tearing and to make sure that it takes on the desired form. As Vlad Troitskiy said, But the Wind is a fable of love, parting and hope. The space of the performance is made up of a dozen fans and polyethylene that beautifully and slowly fly up and drop. And what is happening on the stage follows this rhythm. The open simplicity of this solution clearly demonstrates the functionality of the scenography. It creates the main image of the wind, which fills the entire space. And to make it beautiful, to enter into space with polyethylene and fans, it seems to be rather simple. But in truth, it's not that simple to ensure that the fans these props breathe are functional and are switched on and off at the right time. One needs to build a world. Everything changes. And then how to be with this wind, how to accept its streams, or to resist them. That's exactly what happens with our characters. The wind in this play is like a spirit that forces a person to live again, to find their inner selves and to act again. But the wind starts with the word but. One can say emptiness, emptiness, but the wind, that is even when it seems that there is nothing, there is always the wind, there is breath. As long as you breathe, you create the wind. That is what life is all about. Therefore, the wind can be construed as life in this play. According to the performance's authors, it is the wind that fills the entire emptiness of the world from its very beginning. It is the wind that disposes of human fate in this world. Listening to the world, I saw polyethylene working under a fan, and it was so beautiful that I realized that it is possible to create the world around this phenomenon and then to enter a story into it. Our story tells about two women and one man, and also love and loss, parting and hope. And as such, this allows for the team of actors to reveal all of these themes without words. In this play we work like puppet masters, but we do not bring the puppets to life. We revive the environment, we revive the airflows. The name of the play is like a snatch of wind. The phrase begins with 3 dots, but the beginning thought continues. In motion, in plastic, in sound, in silence. The kinetic performance, but the wind, offers the viewers to look inside themselves. It's something between the beginning and the end that goes somewhere deep and then fades away. And at some point the performance becomes more convex. In addition to the mighty wind, the 4 sounds and noises influenced viewers. The effects were created by musicians. Marichka Shtirbulova has experience in cooperating with Vlad Troitskiy in the show Thatre. This performance is special because it requires song.
Можна оцей звук?
In general, my vocals are quite minimalistic. Vlad Troitskiy always asks to sing easily in a dissolving manner, as if the voice appears from the wind, and then it has to slowly disappear. The plot of the performance is based on air motion. When every new fan is switched on or off, somewhere it depends on the music's tempo changes or on Marichka's vocals. Marichka emphasizes that her authentic singing symbolizes very important, yet not everyday events that occur once or twice in a person's life, such as the birth of a child, a wedding, war, parting, and finally, death. I perform vocalizations that appear and disappear with the wind. And there are 2 core songs that sound like theme songs for birth and death. Their core song is about a dream. Dream and death go hand in hand. And there is also a wedding song. It's a moment of great joy in the play because it sounds so powerful, so strong. Video projections help to create the space of a fabulous dream without a certain time frame. There are 3 characters in the play, and no text. The unseen 4th character is the wind. The actors had to perform a very hard task to communicate, to fight, to be friends, namely, the flow of air. It is living in completely different character. It is so, we basically involve everything. Our interaction is not in the text. The text is in plastic, in emotions, in views, in inner feelings. That is, everything is very kinetic, in fact. Therefore, existence without text provides the audience another kind of aesthetics, a totally different internal form. All events are easily read, due to the fact that the drama of the play is quite clear without underlying themes or messages. And its visual perception is simple, and at the same time difficult between heroes, just as it is in life, Shtirbulova explains. I am sure that everyone understands. They met, there was a spark between them, and they felt deeply in love. And this, of course, is read out. And in this, in my opinion, lies the advantage of this performance. Everything looks simple, but this point of view is rare in a person's outlook in life. And actually, the wind is that very spirit that gives this life. A viewer watches a performance installation with a number of fans. Each has its own musical score, creating different wind streams. And the wind is used to build the composition and move the plot. And at the very moment when the fan starts working, this airflow expresses my emotion. That is, it is a kind of close-up. If someone's feeling right there on the stage, something can animate from the wind flow when we practically do not move, but an object in our hands, polyethylene that works as scenery. at some point starts to set the character and emotion. Or we use props that we hold in our hands. Or this simply takes a new form and gives new meaning, a totally new image. And it's life, and the viewer gets used to the din. And there is one moment when all the fans stopped rotating, and this silence rings in the people's head. It puts pressure on their consciousness, and then they understand that there is silence, and then the small fan starts turning, and its noise level quickly rises. And at this moment in the play, when there is a total full silence, it seems that everything has been lost, and there is no need to live. That is, the emptiness comes. But the wind, life exists, and the wind blows stronger, and for this reason it's very interesting to work in this play with the sounds and din of streams of wind. There are 5 of us on the stage. Andrei Nadolsky plays the drums, Marichka sings, and 3 actors, me, Olga, and Mikita act. But our main declared character is the wind, which we face at some point, and each in their own way, and deal with it according to our images. This was born all together. At first the world appeared, then the actors appeared, and then the musicians all came together. It was a very unusual experience for me. And this rhythmic and atmospheric music always attracts me. It's very close to my heart. For this reason, it is quite understandable for me. The drums are a mouthpiece of the wind. It breathes, it is alive, emotional and trembling. How did drummer Andrei Nadolsky make sounds expressing gusts of wind, its movement and full calm? It was a bit of inspiration. Of course, we had a job with the director, where we decided how to make these sound waves, where they should rise, and where they should be more mellow. But everything depends on how it's all happening in this situation, in this room, and this is all combined into one. Such scenic experiments are our future, Andrei Nadolsky is confident. Indeed, the trend of modern creative searches is the synthesis of arts and various experiments with folk music. Therefore, I think that it will be present and will be successful. Such a combination of sounds and rhythms, they bring a special atmosphere that in combination with other things works very effectively on the inner souls of people in the audience. We are afraid to hear silence. I mean any person. Perhaps it's the most important thing in the constant hustle and bustle of our time to give myself an opportunity to hear the world and hear the silence. Actually, this performance is dedicated to the silence and the wind. But the wind is a meditative activity in the fragile style of Hayao Miyazaki. It's touching and understandable to everyone. The ideas of the famous Japanese animator were close to Ukrainian stage director Vlad Troitskiy, who carried out another bold experiment with space and the way in which it is filled. For me, it's not just a phrase, but I definitely feel the influence of Miyazaki. And I see a video with animation here. It's an indirect quotation. This is still a feeling, probably. If you feel it, if you heard it, then thank goodness. Well, in contemporary art, no actual art project can do without fashion mapping. The Ukrainian performance is no exception to the rule, and it works on its export demand, because the fact is that universal and modern language will always be understandable anywhere in the world. Yes, it is quite exportable. Next year we will go to Hungary, to France, so artistically and aesthetically it is well guaranteed. Many Ukrainian cities have seen the performance of the wind's strength and power. And how will the foreign audience assess the fresh wind of theatrical change? We will learn after the team's grand tour.